Today is the 261st spacewalk in the history of station assembly and maintenance, and it's scheduled to last approximately 6.5 hours once the spacewalkers switch their spacesuits to battery power. Today's spacewalkers are NASA astronaut Steve Bowen and UAE astronaut Sultan Alneyadi. It's Bowen's 8th spacewalk, and he'll be EV1, wearing red stripes around the legs on his spacesuit. It's also the first ever spacewalk for an astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. Sultan Alneyadi will be EV2, and he will wear an unmarked suit. Woody Hoberg is the suit IV, meaning he's the lead on station for getting the crew properly suited and ready to head out the hatch. Today, Bowen and Alneyadi will address two primary tasks. The duo will exit the station's Quest airlock to prepare for future installation of upgraded solar arrays on the starboard side of the station's truss this summer, which includes routing cables and covering modification kits with MLI or multi-layer insulation. The astronauts will then retrieve S-band antenna equipment and bring it inside the space station before it is eventually returned to Earth for refurbishment and relaunch. The crew on station consists of 3 NASA astronauts, 1 UAE astronaut, and 3 Roscosmos cosmonauts. Steve Bowen, Woody Hoberg, and Frank Rubio of NASA, Sultan Alneyadi of UAE, Andrei Fedyaev and Dmitry Petelin, and Sergei Prokopyev of Roscosmos make up the 7 crew members currently on board the International Space Station. Today, the astronauts inside the station are still supporting the spacewalk and will have a live video feed of the 2 astronauts working outside. The International Space Station is currently flying 262 statute miles over the North Pacific Ocean. It's in an orbital nighttime, traveling 17,500 miles per hour, or 5 miles per second.
In-suit previous clock resumed at 11:47, and we show 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 36 seconds on that clock.
Houston copies.
Again, we're live in Mission Control Houston at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where the Orbit 2 team is now taking over from the Orbit 1 team, who has been walking the crew through their suit up and their pre-breathing, as well as other spacewalk preparations this morning. Flight director today will be Scott Stover. He's leading all the flight controllers on the ground through today's spacewalk. He is joined by Capcom Costa Mavridis. Costa is on hand to speak with the station astronauts, and he'll hand over communications to Ground IV and McLean once the Quest hatch is closed and depressurization is underway. Mavridis will also serve as today's Capcom for the other astronauts aboard the space station. As previously mentioned, NASA astronaut Anne McLean will be talking directly to the 2 spacewalkers as they move throughout their tasks today, giving them step-by-step instruction coming from here in the room. And the lead spacewalk officer today is Sandy Fletcher. She oversees the team monitoring the suit information and walking through procedures, as well as feeding information to Mission Control Houston team members. Right now, the crew members are in the equipment lock portion of the Quest airlock. This is where they have been this morning as they donned their suits, continued their pre-breathing exercises, and they will eventually attach the SAFER, or the aid for EVA rescue, in the equipment lock. Eventually, they'll move to the crew lock, which is behind Woody Hoberg at this time. That's the outermost part of the Quest airlock, where they will conduct final communications and suit system checks with the ground. They will eventually change their suits to internal battery power, which starts our timer for today's spacewalk. Up until now, the spacewalkers were conducting the in-suit light exercise protocol, also known as ISLE. This helps acclimate their bodies to lower pressure inside the suit and helps astronauts avoid what we call the bends by purging the nitrogen in their blood slowly. And again, another look at our spacewalkers today. Steve Bowen will be conducting his 8th spacewalk. He'll be EV1 wearing red stripes. So far, he's conducted 7 spacewalks, totaling 47 hours and 18 minutes. A little bit of added excitement today as Sultan Alneyadi will be making the first ever spacewalk for the United Arab Emirates. Overall, it's the 261st spacewalk in support of station assembly maintenance and upgrades, and our 4th for this year. We have 2 more spacewalks coming up soon. Russian Spacewalk 65 and 66 coming up in May. Again, this look inside Mission Control Houston as we are in a satellite handover with the International Space Station. Teams here are also conducting their handover as Orbit 1 hands over to Orbit 2 this morning, preparing them for today's spacewalk. And this view inside the airlock as Woody Hoberg on the bottom left of the screen and Frank Rubio up at the top of the screen prepare to attach the SAFER, the Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue, to NASA astronaut Steve Bowen. Again, this is sort of like a jetpack that is worn as a backpack. The astronauts use 2 tethers at all times, so they do not become detached from the International Space Station, but this is another backup option for them in case they were to drift from the International Space Station. As our astronauts continue to prepare for today's spacewalk, a little bit of information about the suits and the pre-breathe process so far. At nominal pressure, the suit is about 4.3 psi or pounds per square inch of pressure. And to put that into context, the atmospheric pressure we're used to on Earth is about 14.7 psi, which is approximately the same as the inside of the space station with a mixed oxygen and nitrogen environment similar to what we have here on Earth. The 4.3 pounds per square inch of pressure in the spacesuit is similar to what you'd experience at about 30,000 feet elevation, and that low pressure helps the spacesuit feel a little more flexible, which we really need because the gloves can be kind of rigid, especially during a 6.5 hour spacewalk. So it helps the astronauts flex their hands in those gloves. We discussed the pre-breathe process earlier. That includes about 50 minutes of cycles where we spend 4 minutes exercising and 1 minute resting. That exercise looks pretty simple. It looks like moving your arms and legs just a little bit, but this helps purge nitrogen from their bloodstream to help maintain a 100% oxygen environment. Pre-breathing consists of two phases. In the first, the crew breathes 100% oxygen through a mask to begin purging that nitrogen. And in the second, the crew gets into their spacesuits and conducts ISLE, the in-suit light exercise, again moving their arms and legs, raising their metabolic rate, and it helps speed up getting rid of the excess nitrogen. Closest to the camera right now and unsuited is NASA astronaut Frank Rubio. He will spend 371 days on the International Space Station before returning home this year, setting a new spaceflight record for any U.S. astronaut. As NASA astronaut Frank Rubio puts the finishing touches on attaching the Safer to NASA's Steve Bowen, our EV-1, Woody Hoberg is going to begin working on Sultan Alneyadi. Teams in Mission Control Houston continue preparing the space station itself for today's spacewalk. That includes inhibiting some of the thrusters on the outside of the International Space Station so there isn't any interference. Additionally, it can include closing some of the shutters over the windows. And eventually, the crew members may be asked to not exercise at certain parts during today's spacewalk. Specifically, that no exercise request comes whenever the SSRMS, or the Canadarm2, as it is more commonly known, is in use. This just helps ensure there are no additional loads being imparted on the Canadarm2, especially when we're moving a crew member from one place to another. NASA's Woody Hoberg will be driving the Canadarm2 today from inside the International Space Station after he has helped get the crew members out the door. As you can see, they've moved NASA's Steve Bowen into the crew lock portion of the airlock. And as Sultan Alneyadi begins preparation for his first ever spacewalk and the first spacewalk for any UAE astronaut, joining us in Mission Control Houston today, watching from the viewing room, is Hazza Al Mansouri. He was the first United Arab Emirates astronaut to visit the International Space Station, so a very proud day for our friends in UAE. As Woody Hoberg, our suit IV, and Frank Rubio work to attach the safer, simplified aid for EVA rescue to Sultan Al Neyadi's spacesuit. We're getting closer to the start of today's spacewalk. Again, you can see that there are no stripes on the spacesuit that Sultan is wearing. This is an EV2 suit. You'll be able to differentiate between him and Steve Bowen once they're outside the hatch by checking out their where there are no stripes on this suit, and there is a red stripe on Steve Bowen's suit. Later in the day, Bowen will be on the SSRMS, the Canadarm2. Looks like Frank Rubio will be our prime operator for the Canadarm2, backed up by Hoberg. As Rubio and Hoberg continue working to attach the safer to Sultan Al Neyadi's spacesuit, they are in the equipment lock portion of the Quest airlock. You can't see him, but Steve Bowen is already in the crew lock portion. Once this attachment of safer is complete, Hoberg and Rubio will move Alneyadi into the crew lock portion of the airlock. They'll then close the hatch and begin depressurization of that airlock, eventually preparing for the external hatch to be opened and our spacewalkers to head outside. Some fun information about the spacesuits as we prepare for these crew members to get out of the hatch this morning. These suits are obviously fitted on the ground for the crew, but they also refit their suits in space to account for any spinal elongation or fluid shifting that has occurred since they arrived at the International Space Station. The suit has 6 layers. It provides atmospheric containment, thermal insulation, cooling, solar radiation protection, and micrometeoroid or orbital debris protection. Engineers on the ground take about 80 measurements to ensure each spacewalker has the best fitting spacesuit, which includes about 16 major elements that compose the suit itself. This includes 3 different sizes of torsos, 8 sizes of elbow joint pieces, 2 sizes of adjustable waists, 5 sizes of knee joint pieces, and 65 sizes of gloves or custom fitted gloves. Now that the Safer is properly attached to Sultan Alneyadi's spacesuit, Hoberg and Rubio are working to move him into the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock. Once our 2 spacewalkers are situated, Rubio will exit that portion of the airlock and rejoin Hoberg in the equipment lock section. They'll then close the hatch and begin depressurization of the crew lock area. Because the International Space Station is just that, international, the time zone GMT is used, so it's at 12:17 p.m. on the space station. These crew members are essentially in the middle of their day. Again, we're looking for about a 6.5-hour spacewalk. That spacewalk clock will begin when their suits are turned on to battery power. A smile from NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg, today's suit IV. He's been helping the astronauts get suited up, along with Frank Rubio, they're closest to the screen. They're both in the equipment portion of the Quest airlock. Now both crew members are in the crew lock portion, and the next steps will be to close the hatch between the two and prepare for depressurization. Both Rubio and Hoberg looking ready to go, as do the two astronauts in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock.
Houston airlock on 1, complete through step 76.
Good morning, Woody, and we copy step 76. We will put step 78 and 79 in work from the ground.
Morning, Costa, sounds great.
The voices you hear right now, obviously Woody Hoberg using that tablet to step through the next steps ahead of today's spacewalk. He's speaking on the ground with Costa Mavridis, who is the Capcom. Once the astronauts switch their suits to battery power and get outside the hatch, they will hand over communications to NASA astronaut Anne McClain here in the room. She's known as the ground IV and will be relaying steps to the astronauts from here in Mission Control Houston. Mavridis will remain on console to work with the astronauts that are on board the station but not outside on the spacewalk.
Okay, the hatch is closed. It's closed? Okay. Let me see how far back I can get. Okay, see my safety tether pack. Our tether is connected to the gearing extender. It's locked, gets locked back and back. Okay. And I see gearing extender on my right is also oh, I got it back. Two hooks, they're all locked. And back to back. So make sure you have my extra hook and it's locked.
And Steve and Sultan, good morning, letting you know you are hot mic on Space Ground 1.
Morning, Costa. Have your coffee.
Good morning, and Woody, back to you for steps 81 and on.
Back, Costa. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I've got my weird tether, gate close slide lock. Keep my big hook, gate close slide lock. Your green wheel, gate close slide lock. Green wheel is unlocked. The yellow hook is take
Guys,
close
just,
flight.
we'll do the tunnel config in just a minute. I'm going to have Sultan check that the depress pump power is off, OFF.
Okay, depress pump is off.
And depress pump enable LED.
The enable LED is on.
Copy that.
And of course, you're hearing some new voices added to the mix now. That it is of Steve Bowen and Sultan Alneyadi preparing for depress.
And Costa, we're in step 84, awaiting your go.
And Woody, we are go for depress. You have a go in step 84.
Do that. All right, Sultan on the UIA. Switch depress pump power to on, OM.
Okay, depress pump is coming to on. Switch on.
Sultan, take the depress pump and ISO valves open. You guys can expect an alert zone.
Right, copy. Depress man ventilation valve open.
Okay, and as the crew lock depresses, you'll monitor your suit pressure gauge and make sure it remains less than 5.5.
All right, copy. Everyone go.
We are in a handover of the tracking data and relay satellite systems that we use to communicate with the International Space Station. Teams have given a go for depressurization of the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock, where our two spacewalkers, NASA's Steve Bowen and Sultan Alneyadi of the United Arab Emirates, are inside and preparing for their spacewalk. We started with pressure in the airlock at about 14.7 psi, or pounds per square inch. It continues to drop now at about 11.6 pounds per square inch. Depressurization of the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock continues, now looking at about 9.6 pounds per square inch of pressure. They'll have a built-in hold shortly where they wait to check out and make sure that the readings are accurate coming from inside the Quest airlock and that temperature fluctuation isn't causing the pressure readings to change. Pressure in the crew lock continues to drop as planned, now at 8.25 pounds per square inch. Now under 6.5 pounds per square inch of pressure in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock. That depressurization continuing to be monitored by NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg, the ground IV in the picture now, as well as team members here in Mission Control Houston.
Okay, Sultan, on my mark, you'll be taking the depress pump man ISO valve to closed.
Copy and ready.
Mark, depress pump man ISO valve closed, expect an alert tone.
Man ISO valve closed.
Okay, next up, we are going to perform a leak check. You'll use your display switch to scroll until leak check question mark is displayed. Hold yes 2 seconds and follow displayed instructions.
Copy.
As expected, pressure inside the airlock now paused at 5 psi while the crew conducts leak checks. Depressurization will resume shortly once these leak checks are complete, ensuring everything looks good with the airlock.
EV2, leak check complete. EV1 leak check complete, get into EVA. Switch to EVA.
Okay, check O2 actuators, both EVA.
Not yet. Good look.
Confirmation coming from both astronauts that their suits have good leak
And
checks.
Sultan, I think you might have said it, but O2 actuator EVA.
That's affirmative. EVA on EV2. And EV1 is in EVA.
For that, Sultan, you'll take the depress pump man ISO valve to open.
Hold on. Okay, we're standing by. I'm still not quite in EVA. Hold on. Okay, O2 position EVA, EV1.
All right, thanks, Steve. Sultan, you can now take the depress pump man ISO valve to open, and you guys should expect an alert tone.
Copy. Valve open.
And Steve, you'll take the EV hatch MPEV to open.
EV hatch MTAV coming to open. Open.
Copy, open.
Depressurization of the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock has resumed. And we are handing over satellite communications with the International Space Station. We expect to regain that communications very shortly. Things continue to move smoothly this morning as we prepare for our astronauts to exit the hatch and conduct an approximately 6.5-hour spacewalk.
And Station Houston for Steve, we heard you working on the EV hatch MPEV. Can you let us know when it's complete?
It's complete.
Okay, copy that. And Woody, can you verify the EMER MPEV is also open?
Affirm Costa, the EMER MPEV is open. Step 9 complete.
Okay, we copy both. Thank you, guys.
Voice on the ground currently communicating with the astronauts is Costa Mavridis. They are in the center of your screen. Over to the bottom of the screen is, and his left is Scott Stover, today's flight director. The pressure in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock is now under 3 psi. Meanwhile, the pressure inside the spacesuits is about 4.3 psi. And this view of Sandy Fletcher, today's lead spacewalk officer, working through the tasks and relaying them to teams on the ground. As depressurization continues in the crew lock, we are now under 2 psi. The International Space Station, flying 266 statute miles over the Indian Ocean, will be coming up over the south coast of Australia shortly.
Hey, Woody, I'm reading airlock pressure 1.1.
Okay, Sultan, copy that. We're just lagging a little behind on the PCS. I'll give you a go for step 10 in just a moment.
Let's copy, standing by.
Sultan, I'm guessing we're 30 seconds to a minute out from that action.
Copy.
Okay, Sultan, take the depress pump man ISO valve to closed.
Copy. ISO valve closed.
Copy that. Sultan, on the UAA, switch depress pump power off, OFF.
The press pump is off.
All right, and with that, you guys can report your initial tether config to Ann for egress.
Okay, let's start with my left side. On my left side, I have my left wave tether to my mini workstation, then to the D-ring extender, gate closed, slider locked. I have my tether pack, red hook, gate closed, slider locked, and the red reel is unlocked. Yellow hook is gate closed, slider locked. The green reel is to my mini workstation. On my right-hand side, I have my light wave tether, gate closed, slider locked, to Sultan's blank hook. Like I see that, Steve, my anchor hook is connected to your waist tether, and anchor hook is gate closed, locked, black on black. My green reel is unlocked, and the green hook from the green reel is connected to my red reel. That hook is gate closed, locked, black on black. Red reel is unlocked, and from the red reel I have my my yellow hook is connected to the green reel, and it's gate closed, locked, black on black. And the red hook from the red reel is connected to my right gearing extender, and that hook is gate closed, locked, black on black. The same gearing extender on the right. I have my base tether, small hook is gate closed, locked, black on black. Large hook is connected to the internal gearing extender. It's gate closed, locked, black on black. My left side, I have a gearing extender, and I have my second waist tether, and small hook is gate closed, locked, black on black. Large hook is connected to my mini workstation.
Okay, Stephen Sultan, that's a good load path, good config.
NASA astronaut Steve Bowen and UAE astronaut Sultan Alneyadi reporting their configuration of tethers, their mini workstation, and other equipment before they begin opening the hatch.
Okay, and Stephen Sultan, just a reminder, once the DPT gets near 0, you can expect an alert tone.
Copy. Copy that. All right, so let's see if we get my body down here a little bit further. Bring it to the handle at some point. Report and forward. All right. Oh, it's there. Sort of hung up on something.
Now less than 0.9 psi in the crew lock. Aside from the spacewalk preparations that we're watching right now on the International Space Station, Andrei Fedyaev and Dmitry Petelin, as well as Frank Rubio, are currently in the exercise portions of their day. Astronauts on the International Space Station need to exercise for about 2 hours a day to maintain muscle mass and proper bone health while in microgravity. That exercise will be limited and actually restricted while the Canadarm2 is in use today. Steve Bowen will be on the end of the Canadarm for part of the spacewalk. That'll be controlled by NASA's Frank Rubio, as well as monitored by Woody Hoberg, our ground IV, who's in the center of your screen and who worked this morning to suit up the 2 astronauts now in the crew lock portion of the airlock.
Station Houston, an update. We are at about 30 minutes of depress time. Looking at our predictions, we are expecting to need the entire 45 minutes before we take action. So you can expect another 15 minutes of depress before we take action.
81 copy. 82 copy.
Depressurization of the crew lock continues, now 0.69 psi. Anticipating about 15 more minutes of this depressurization. It's a busy time aboard the International Space Station, as always these days. In addition to this spacewalk, there are two Roscosmos spacewalks coming up in May. We recently saw the departure of Northrop Grumman's 18th commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station on April 21st. And just before that, SpaceX's 27th commercial resupply mission departed on April 15th. We expect to see another SpaceX resupply mission, the 28th, this summer, which will bring up two new International Space Station rollout solar arrays. We refer to those as IROSAs. Part of today's tasks are preparing the space station for installation of those IROSAs on a future spacewalk. Depressurization continues in the crew lock, bringing the airlock itself down to a vacuum to match that of space. This is about a 45-minute process. We have about 10 minutes left. Now at about 0.5 psi in the crew lock. Again, this is down from 14.7 psi where we started today and what the rest of the space station is at, as well as what's very similar to what we experience here on Earth.
All right, Stephen Sultan, I'm showing crew lock pressure less than 26 millimeters. Steve, can you verify the EV hatch gauge shows less than 0.6?
The hatch gauge shows less than 0.6, looks like about 0.4.
All right, with that, Steve, you have a go to open and stow the EV hatch. And a reminder, once you get it off the seals, you'll want to get the hatch MPEV to closed.
All right, I am opening the hatch and I will get the MPEV to close. Work.
Good reports here in Mission Control Houston, as well as from the crew aboard the International Space Station. The hatch is now open and the crew lock itself is at a vacuum. Again, we will start our timer for today's spacewalk once the spacesuits themselves are on battery power.
And the hatch is open. The MPEV is closed. It is closed. Hatch is latched.
Okay, Steve, copy that. I can verify that the emergency MPEV is closed. Gentlemen, it's time for me to hand you over to Ann. It was a real honor suiting you up this morning. Sultan, you're making history today. Congratulations. We're so excited for you. Hope you both have a great EVA, and we'll see you in just a few hours.
Fantastic job, Woody. Thank you very, very much. Thanks for all the help, Woody. Thank you.
And now that Woody Hoberg's job as suit IV is complete.
Sultan, Hattie here.
And I have you loud and clear. And I got you loud and clear.
Fantastic. So with that, we can start our post-depress. On both DCMs, you're going to stagger your switch throws, and you can switch power to battery.
EV1, power going to battery. EV1. Okay, EV2 going to battery. I've got blank, no bite. Good startup.
And we copy.
EV2 the same.
Okay, we copy both power to bat, and you can switch your display to Pro to verify function display.
And EV1 display is functional. EV2, functional display.
Sultan, on the UIA, you can switch power, EV1 and 2 to off, OFF, and check that all 4 LEDs are off.
Right, copy and work. V1, power off, LEDs off. V2, power off, LEDs off.
Okay, copy. For both of you, you can now disconnect your SCU from your DCM, install the DCM cover, and stow your SCU in the pouch.
And that did work, EV1. Works.
In the center of your screen is NASA astronaut Anne McClain. She's going to be the primary communicator with the astronauts while they are on today's spacewalk.
Okay, cover in place, SCU is in the pouch. Then cover installed for the pouch.
Okay, we copy that you both have the DCM
Pouch,
covers.
you're right. Affirmative, and I'm just looking for the pouch. It's right here, I'm going to give it to you. Here it is. Well, let's make sure it's on the right side there. So you see it, Sultan? Make sure it goes on the correct side of your... I got it, thanks, you're good. Okay, DCM, correction. SCU is in the pouch now.
Copy, both SCUs are in the pouches. At this time, you can check that the depress pump man ISO valve is closed.
That's affirmative. And as a valve closed.
Copy, for both crew on your DCMs, you can take your temperature control valve to max hot.
Control valve coming to max hot, EV1. Control valve, max hot, EV1.
Copy?
EV2, max hot.
Copy. You may now both switch water to on, ON.
EV1, water's on. Water's on, EV1. EV2, water is on.
Copy both. Now on your DCMs, check blank bite off.
Blank bite off, EV1. EV2, blank bite off.
Copy. You can now set your temperature control valve as desired and let us know what that setting is. And just a reminder throughout the EVA today to please report your changes and try not to do any changes that are larger than 2.
EV1 copies and reposition. Okay, EV2 TV setting is 5. EV1's initial setting is 4 when I get there. KV1's initial setting is 4.
Okay, we copy 5 and 4. Thank you. Can you please report your suit P gauge?
P EV1 4.3. And 4.3 for EV2.
Copy 4.3, and you can set your visors as required. We're about 5 minutes from a sunrise.
And I agree, it is dark outside. EV1 copies. I EV2 copies.
Okay, and with that, we can verify that your suit parameters look good. So that'll take us, and we'll take care of the last step on the post-depress. So with that, we'll step into the procedures. So when we're ready, Steve, you are go to open the thermal cover.
Opening the thermal cover.
And Steve, reminder to release the hook from the magnetic plate D-ring and attach the hook to the stowage tether point and cinch the strap until snug.
And that's in work.
As we get a live view from outside the Quest airlock, we have confirmation that the spacewalk itself began at 8:11 a.m. Central Time today as the astronauts turn their suits to battery power.
And making snug. All right, and that's complete. Thermal hatch is open.
Copy. You are now go to egress the airlock.
Keep on egress in the airlock. Busted.
And Sultan, as he egresses, your next step is going to be to transfer the crew lock bags out if you want to get eyes on crew lock bag on 2 or 3.
Okay, I was expecting the IDA bag. No, IDA is 3rd. All right, copy.
Yes, you can pass those bags in any order.
Okay. All right, copy. And by Sultan, I want to make sure I'm in a good orientation here and get my...
And Steve, as you get set, please also turn on your HECA.
All right, let me get myself in a good config here. My waist tether.
First out of the hatch this morning is NASA astronaut Steve Bowen. He is EV1. You can differentiate between he and Sultan Alneyadi by the red stripe that is on Bowen's spacesuit.
And heck. And I got a good green light for HECA. Okay, Sultan, I'm ready for a bag. Okay, I'm sending bag number 3 first. Bag number 3.
And I know you're tracking, but crew lock bags 2 and 3 are going to be stowed on the airlock zenith of the starboard airlock toolbox on 556.
556. Copy.
The crew members start their day with Sultan Alneyadi passing out some of the
Coming your way, Steve. I see it.
passing out some of the bags that will be used to Steve Bowen. He will then stow those on a handrail for use later.
Airlock that. Got it. It's coming back. Got it. Okay, here it goes. All right, I'm going to put that up on the Z-ring extender. Thank you.
As you can see, the colors changing outside of the International Space Station. We will be entering an orbital sunrise, orbital daylight, very soon. The lights on the helmet camera of Steve Bowen down in the bottom left of your frame are currently on. The International Space Station sees 16 sunrises and sunsets a day, so these spacewalkers will work in alternating light and darkness throughout their time today.
All right, crew lock back 3, on 556, on the ret. My ret.
And we copy Steve, crew lock bag 3 on 556. And Sultan, just a reminder, the large small rets from these crew lock bags are going to get stowed on the airlock D-ring extender.
Yeah, copy, and the first bag, number 3, our ret is already on the D-ring extender.
Copy.
Okay, Sultan, I'm ready for bag number 2. Wait, ready. All right, I see bag number 2.
These bags that Alneyadi is transferring to Bowen are stored on the same handrail. They'll be used later. They contain tools for different tasks.
Releasing the airlock. And I'm ready for it. Here it comes. Thanks. Bag number 2, heading up. Small red is going to zero.
And that crew lock bag also goes to 556. And that large small ret Sultan also goes to airlock D-ring extender. And the next item to pass out will be the GoPro.
I'll be on and have it. All right. Bag number 2 is attached to 556 with the integral tether. The bag 3 is on with a ret. Bag 2 is on with the integral tether.
Okay, we copy both crew locks on 556. Nicely done. And the next thing is to retrieve and install the GoPro.
Thanks. That's ready for your seat. Yep. My vet is wrapped around the handle now. I gotta take that off first. GoPro is. Right. Yeah. And I have that ready to my mini workstation. You can release the other end, Sultan. Okay, and work. When you're ready. All right. Then let the hook go. Thank you. Give me a minute to set that up.
Another short handover with the tracking data and relay satellite systems that help us communicate with the International Space Station. The crew members continue to prepare the crew lock bags that they will use later on in the spacewalk.
I've got the small hook on 550.
We copy small hook on 550. And Sultan, while you wait for him to come back for the IDA bag, we'd like you to check your safer handles and ensure that they are both full down.
Copy. Okay, I got the big hook on 546.
And Steve, was that 546?
546 on the lower. All right, I've got it facing the correct way. So head back to the airlock.
Okay, we copy.
Both handles down.
Okay, copy Sultan. And Steve, we'd like you to do the same thing with your safer handles and just give them a tap and make sure they're both full down.
All right, give me 1 second to stop.
And Sultan, the next bag will be the IDA bag, and this large small ret will also go to the airlock D-ring extender.
Yeah. All right, checking my papers. Right handle is down. Okay, left handle is down.
And we copy, Steve, so you can get the IDA bag from Sultan and stow it on your BRT.
Okay. Okay, Sultan, pass it out this way. Almost there. A little bit further. Thank you.
Try to press the handle.
I missed the handle. I got this.
All right.
Okay, hold on.
NASA's Anne McClain, our ground IV today. She lived aboard the International Space Station during expeditions 58 and 59 and was a lead spacewalker on 2 spacewalks herself.
Yeah, hold on. Want to get make sure it's on the.
Take your time.
I'm trying to tuck the wire ties in. All right, that might be your key. Your key rat is attached. Lock rat. Coming back to you. Ready?
Yep.
There it is. Okay, let me get this stuck down where I want it. Those wire ties don't do the thing where I want them to, but it's okay.
And Sultan, the next bag will be crew lock bag 1, and you can pass that out to Steve, or you can egress with it, your choice. Reminder to keep the large small ret on crew lock bag 1.
Right, copy that. I'm going to pass it to Steve and then reach the hook when he has a ret on it.
Copy. And Steve, as you wait for that, can you check the strap on the thermal cover, the one that you cinched, and to make sure that there are 6 lines visible?
Hold on. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 lines visible.
Copy. Thanks for the check.
All right. Well, I'm unfamiliar. Zach is up, and I'm unfamiliar with what that shows exactly for right above eye. So, give me an idea at some point. Appreciate that. If it's well above my head.
Copy. Will do.
Thank you. All right, Sultan, I'm ready for your bag.
Coming your way.
All right. Not quite. Rat your bag.
Okay.
Release the lock rat. Hold on. Here it comes.
No, Steve, actually, this stays with the...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Here, bring it back
I'm
out.
going to pass it back.
Thank you. Actually, you can just hook it back up. I'll put it right here. Thank you for the reminder.
No problem.
Can you release your end now and now hold on to it?
You have a right on it?
I got a hand on it, I got a right on it. So you release the big hook and then it'll be, I'll put it on.
All right, and work.
Yeah, good words on that large small ret. And just another note on this bag, Sultan, if you're going to want to use your BRT during translation adaptation, then you can go ahead and temp stow crew lock bag 1 on that airlock handrail. If you're not going to use your BRT, then once you egress, we'll get it on your BRT.
No problem. I think that's on my BRT, and I'll do the adaptation with a waist tether, the handrail.
You can just hook it to the handrail right now. And then you can grab it on the way out.
Yeah, you can do that, yeah.
Okay. All right, I have your crew lock bag by the big hook on the airlock handrail to release my ret. And I will clear the hatch for you.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm ready to egress.
Sultan, you are go to egress.
I'm going to get the view from my feet before.
The astronauts have been working through preparation of their tool bags, as well as ensuring their tethers are in the proper configuration. Now preparing for UAE astronaut Sultan Alneyadi to egress the hatch.
See him coming out?
Yep.
Before that, actually, I need to reroute the SCU. It's coming in between my safety tether.
Okay. Take your time. Make sure it's right. So.
My safety tether out. Coming out.
And Sultan, once you get out and set, your next step is to receive crew lock bag 1 and stow it if you want to do that right now. Otherwise, you can leave it temp stowed for translation adaptation.
It's right here. Okay, I'm going to receive it.
At 30 minutes into today's spacewalk, UAE astronaut Sultan Alneyadi has egressed the hatch, the first ever spacewalk for an astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. Another good look at both of our spacewalkers here. On the right, you see NASA's Steve Bowen with red stripes around the legs of his spacesuit. That'll help you tell the difference from him and Sultan Alneyadi, who's on the left side in an unmarked suit.
And Steve, while he is working crew lock bag 1, just want to let you know that we noticed that the wire tie caddy is not staying tucked to the IDA bag. Just wanted to put your awareness on it in case you want to tuck it in somewhere or at another ret.
Yeah, let me try and fix that again. I thought I had tucked it in when I pulled it out. It's a better place to tuck it. Okay, pull it back, stow it to my BRT.
Okay, copy, Sultan. You can now turn on your HECA.
That should be better. See green LED HECA.
Okay, we copy your HECAs on. And just a quick note to congratulate the UAE for having their flag on an EMU outside the International Space Station for the first time. And gentlemen, you can get it set up for your buddy checks.
Thanks so much. All right. Okay, so I see 2 green lights. I see 2 latches up. See 3 latches up, 1 is taped. Yep, that's a BRT. And I see your right space tether. Fender. Going to the unlock. That one goes back to the unlock, the gate closed slider locked on the small hook. On your red hook, the gate closed slider locked. See the red reel, which is unlocked, and the yellow hook, which is locked. Gate closed slider locked on the green reel, which is unlocked. To my right wave feather, which is gate closed slider locked on me. So I see us in a good config. I see safer handles. Check your safer handles again. To your left safer handle down. To your right safer handle down. My heart is right.
Good checks on Sultan.
Cures. See, it'll be HECA, WS, E. E tabs up on BRT and mini workstation. Right, safer handle is down. Your safer handle is down as well. Right, have your other gas closed, locked black on black. Is connected to my anchor hook, both hooks. I get closed black, locked black on black. right. All right, my half is dry.
Yes. Skip back. I see it. Flow black, black on black. Okay.
I'll check those when I drop them.
Okay, cool. I think you're in a good config.
Thank you.
If your hat is dry.
My half is dry.
All right, nicely
And
done.
my gloves are nominal.
Steve, your next step is going to be to translate out to the anchor hook location, up the CETA spur and out face 1, and you're looking for mile marker 5760. Sultan, you're going to hang out right there. Once Steve is clear, you can tend the thermal cover hatch closed as much as you can. Obviously won't go all the way. And you can perform translation adaptation as needed.
Right, copy that.
All right, heading out to mile marker 5760.
Steve, a reminder as you go along face 1, we have those tusk cables out, so just avoid inadvertent contact on the zenith and nadir CETA rails.
Understand, avoid the test cables. I'll be looking for them.
The astronauts have completed their buddy checks. Along the way, we heard a handful of acronyms that we'll continue to hear throughout the spacewalk. One of those is the HECA, that's the High Def EMU Camera Assembly, as well as the WVS, the Wireless Video System. Those will help us get views from the helmet cameras on the astronauts. Additionally, we heard the MWS, that's the mini workstation that's attached to the astronauts themselves, as well as the BRT, the body restraint tether.
The top of the CETA, and then use the CETA cards.
And we copy, Steve. We see you out there. Just for your awareness, we have all the external cameras. We do not have your helmet cams yet. We're working the issue.
Oh, okay.
Right now, Steve Bowen has moved to the CETA cart, that's the Crew Equipment Translation Aid. Meanwhile, on screen here is Sultan Alneyadi. He's working to close the thermal cover. The main hatch on the Quest airlock will remain open in case the astronauts needed to ingress quickly at any time. As this is his first spacewalk, he also has a little bit of extra time to get used to maneuvering outside in the vacuum of space.
And Steve, we see you getting toward 5760, and you're going to be placing the anchors just nadir of 5760. The first handrail you're going to be looking for is 3011, and that's the one that is straight up and down.
Okay, 5760, I'm at that mile marker. All right, 3011. That's what I'm looking for, correct?
Affirmative. On 3011, you're going to drop your anchor hook, EV1 anchor hook, ensuring the gate closed and hook locked.
Yes, stand by. Okay, ED1 anchor hook. E011. It is closed. Black on black. It's locked. The green wheel is unlocked.
Okay, good word, Steve. You're now going to go just inboard to the diagonal handrail 3217, and you're going to put Sultan's EV2 anchor on handrail 3217.
Okay, handrail 3217, V1 anchor hook, and 82 anchor hook. All right, I have 82's anchor hook, gate closed final locks on 3217, and feed pending back to the airlock.
Okay, we concur you guys are in a good safety tether config, so with that, you can give Sultan a go to release his weight tether from the airlock D-ring extender.
Sultan, you have a go to release your waist tether from the airlock D-ring extender.
All right, copy that. Releasing my waist tether from the D-ring extender.
Steve, you can continue outboard toward S6. Reminder to give us a gauntlet call prior to crossing the Sarge, and your next step is going to be to drop your green hook at out on S5, and reminder that at the Sarge you're going to translate zenith. Sultan, once you have your waist tether... Sultan, once you have your waist tether off, you can close the thermal cover.
Okay, copy that. Okay, thermal cover closed.
Copy, thermal cover closed. You can now head to ESP2 for bag stow. And reminder, you're going to translate. You can either translate on the wagon wheel of the airlock across to ESP2, or you can go direct from the toolboxes over to ESP2 to the starboard side.
All right, copy that.
All right, my gauntlets are down. I am at the Sarge.
Okay, copy, Steve. And reminder, because of the angles everything's parked in, you're going to need to go zenith prior to crossing. And when you cross, you're going to have the non-radiator side of the IEA out your left side.
All right, my left side non-radiator. I see where I am.
And Steve, as a check, once you cross the struts, the first whiff, you're going to see our whiff 2 and 6 and handrail 2203, and then you know you're on the right path.
At 2 and 6, I'm on the right path, and that's a great cue. Thank you.
Sure thing. You can just head straight out starboard now. You're going to be going all the way along that edge until you get to the S6 handrail 2003, which is going to be the first one on the S6 long spacer.
2003, first one S6, and that's where I dropped my green hook, I think, right?
Good words.
This view coming from the helmet camera of Sultan Alneyadi. The International Space Station currently flying.
ESP2, you're going to be going to the starboard side, just forward of that trunnion pin. The good news out there is that there's no NBL structure to get in your way, so you should make that corner nice and easy. And you're going to be looking for handrail 8007.
Copy that, 8007, and I did notice that NBL structure here. Thanks.
All right, I'm at 2003, stopping to drop my green hook.
Copy. Green hook to 2003, and just note the barber pole on the one side.
And I see it.
The space station currently flying 258 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean, which we are getting glimpses of in the background of Sultan Alneyadi's camera.
You just continue straight outbound on that same path to S6 handrail 2009. That'll be with the IEA off to your right side. And a reminder, your left hand as you get out there is going to cross handrail 2008. And that is the one that has wire ties and MLI secured to it that we want to try to minimize loads into.
Understand, 2008 minimize loads. Okay, green hook. On 2003. It is gate closed, fire lock. Not that that matters on that hook, but it is. All right, put this key down a little bit more.
Yeah, good word, Steve. You're right, it doesn't need to be locked, but we'll take the belt and suspenders anytime. So you're just heading outboard to 2009.
I agree. Getting outboard.
And this video coming from Steve Bowen's helmet camera. He continues to stow bags where needed outside the International Space Station. And his next main task will be to relocate an articulating portable foot restraint that will be used later in the spacewalk.
And Steve, that's you're passing that BCDU MLI right now on 2008, and that's what we want to try to not put loads in. I think you saw it as you went by.
I did. I slowed down, make sure I reached across it. And I'm at 2032 in 2009 now, so I'm at my next work site.
Copy. Yes, you are. You can stow the IDA cable bag right in front of you, and there's going to be an integral tether to 2010 on your left and another to 2032 on your right.
All right, I'll get that in work.
And then reminder, we are going to have another large, small adjustable from the lid of the bag over to 2032 as well. So there will be two connections on 2032.
Copy.
And Sultan, it looks like you have a good temp stow on the bag. When you're ready, you're going to translate back toward the airlock the way you came to go up the CETA spur, and your next stop is going to be the port CETA cart to retrieve an APFR.
Good, copy. Port CETA cart. And is it the inboard or outboard handrail stanchion on 2010?
We suggested the outboard, and then for 2032, the one that's farthest away from you. But if you see a better way, just let us know.
All right.
And actually, Steve, I had that backwards. On 2010, we suggest the inboard, but again, whatever you need to get it tacked down tightly.
All right. Have it down on the inboard.
And Sultan, as you get up the Cedar Spur, you're going to be heading up to the port Cedar Cart.
That's copy.
And as you get up on Phase 1 Sultan, that port Cedar Cart will be off to your right side. And a reminder for you as well of not touching the test cables.
Right, I got it. Okay, I have one of the corners to 2032, the other corner to 2010, and the big hook on 2032 well, back to the top of the back.
Copy. Good config, Steve.
That's good.
And we will take a glove inspection and a HAP check and ensuring your gauntlets are in place.
Okay, my gauntlets are in place. Half is dry. I'm checking my gloves.
Okay, copy, Steve. Then you can continue your tour of station, and you can translate back inboard to the starboard Cedar Cart to retrieve an APFR, and you will retrieve your green hook on the way.
Okay, retrieve my green hook, head back to the starboard Cedar Cart. My gloves are good.
Copy, good glove check. And nice work, Sultan. And we can head to the up the Cedar Spur when you're ready. Nice work.
Copy. Okay, stop and retrieve my green hook.
Copy, green hook.
This is Mission Control Houston. Views from both of our spacewalkers, now 53 minutes into today's spacewalk.
To the starboard Cedar with 4, which is the top right. And note as you translate that, when you get there, there is 2 APFRs. There's one in the top right and the bottom right. We want the one in the top right that has the ingress aid.
All right, I understand.
Bowen and Alneyadi are heading out to relocate an APFR. That's an articulating portable foot restraint. It's often used during spacewalks to help astronauts secure themselves in one location as they work on a specific task.
They stick together. Bring my translation.
We copy the green hook.
modulating under the empty.
Copy, Sultan. And Sultan, as you get out to the port CETA cart, you're going to be picking up the APFR that's on the bottom left with 2, and that will also have an ingress 8 on it.
Copy, bottom left, left 2. The ingress 8.
10 seconds to a handover.
This is Mission Control Houston. We are in a satellite handover with the astronauts aboard the International Space Station as they continue today's spacewalk. Again, they are heading out to relocate an articulating portable foot restraint. Following relocation of the APFR, they will begin moving out to route cables and modify some multi-layer insulation on one of the modification kits preparing for installation of future solar arrays.
We're back with you after the handover.
All right, passing the anchor hooks.
Copy. And Sultan, we see you at the APFR. When you have a second, we'd like you to double check that the pitch setting is Papa Papa, and then we want you to not change the pitch setting when you translate.
Right, we'll check for Papa Papa, we'll not change it.
Sultan, that was an impressive fix. You have surgeon's hands.
Thank you. All right, I am at the starboard CETA cart. Get up on it.
Okay, copy, Steve. And you're looking for the top right, WIF 4. And we are going to have you keep that APFR in the WIF and adjust the pitch knob when you get there.
Understand. Top right, WIF 4. Adjust the pitch knob while it's still in the WIF.
Yep, and for...
And I see Foxtrot on this APFR.
And Sultan, understand that you see Foxtrot.
That's affirmative, yes.
Copy, Sultan. Standby 1. Steve, for yours in WIF 4, we're going to have you leaving the APFR in the WIF, adjust the pitch setting to Fox. And Sultan, we were expecting Papa Papa on yours, so we're talking about it for a second.
Affirm.
And Sultan, we would like to have you adjust that pitch setting to Papa Papa. So just the pitch setting, and you can leave it in the WIF if you'd like. And so Steve, Fox, Sultan, Papa Papa.
Copy.
Fox, Fox. That should work.
We are now 1 hour into today's spacewalk. The astronauts have made their way out to the SETA cart, the Crew Equipment and Translation Aid, and they are both working on a separate APFR, Articulating Portable Foot Restraint. Verifying the settings are needed to be used later today.
Okay. Thank you, Fox, Fox. All right, I have the APFR and Fox, Fox, and the pitch knob is locked and able to be depressed.
Those are great words, Steve, as you know. So you can retrieve that APFR now with the ingress aid and stow it on your BRT.
All right, that's going to be in work in a minute.
Okay, I have Papa and this APFR, and pitch knob is locked and can be depressed.
Okay, good word, Sultan. You are now going to pick up that APFR with the ingress aid and stow it on your BRT.
Okay, towards.
As you both work those APFRs onto your BRT, big picture, you're going to be pretty synced up now. You're going to be heading out to S6. Just note we're about 5 minutes to a sunset if you want to set your visors accordingly.
Thank you very much, Tom. Copy.
Again, the crew members continue with the first task of the day, which is fixing the appropriate settings on these articulating portable foot restraints. They will stow those on their body retractable tether. The APFR will be used later in the spacewalk.
Same as before.
Copy.
And just to confirm, man, I was translating on the hands of the cart and release the brakes. Copy, thanks. That empty.
Hey, I have a rep to the APFR. APFR is in my jaws of my DRT. The wave of Sultan as he goes by. Hey, Sultan, how are you? Good. I assume I'm good to translate ahead of you, Steve, right? I think that's the plan, yep.
Yes, we were just talking about that. You are going to translate ahead of him. So you're going to continue outboard prior to crossing. You're going to cross where the anchor hooks are, and then a little bit outboard of that prior to crossing the Sarge. We'll make sure your gauntlets are in place, and you're going to be translating zenith from there. And so you're going to go kind of up face one and then across the Sarge.
Right, all right, keep an eye on my tether there as you go by it there, Sultan. Thank you, Steve. I see it, and I see our anchor hooks.
Now that both crew members have the APFR, the articulating portable foot restraint, with them, they're heading out to the S6 truss where they will install those APFRs and prepare for the next task of routing some cables to prepare for future installation of new International Space Station rollout solar arrays, also known as IROSAs. These will be delivered later this year.
Man, my gauntlets are down. I'm ready to cross the Sarge.
Copy. And for both of you, it's the same translation path as Steve took out the first time. So as you cross the Sarge, you're going to come zenith and then cross onto S4. And you should have the non-radiator side out your left side and the IEA out your right side.
And I copy, thank you. Good night, Tom.
As you can see,
Can we confirm mile mark or handrail that we brought the help?
Yeah, Sultan, so before crossing the Sarge, we'll have you ensure your gauntlets are in place. And then you're going to translate zenith. And then when you go across the struts and you get to S4, have that non-radiator side out your left side. The first thing you should see is whiff 2 and whiff 6, and then handrail 2203.
All right, you're ahead of me, Sultan. You're on the right path. When you cross over, when did you cross over to the other side, Ed?
And I concur, Anne. I checked my gauntlets were down. I took the expected route, and I'm by the handrail 2103, heading outboard.
Okay, we copy 2103 and heading outboard.
As you can see, the
Sultan, when you get out there.
Our handrail for anchor hook, I see 2003.
Yeah, so you're going to hook to your grain hook to 2004, which is one handrail outboard of 2003, and then two handrails outboard of that is where you're going to actually cross on the inboard side of the BCDU that's open. So the first thing you want to do, though, is get your green hook on 2004.
Right, copy. Green hook on 00. Can work.
This view from the helmet camera of Sultan Alneyadi, United Arab Emirates astronaut, on the first spacewalk for an Emirati astronaut. Lighting looks a little different outside the International Space Station right now, as the station itself is in an orbital nighttime. Again, we'll see several changes in, we'll see several sunrises and sunsets today during the spacewalk, as it currently flies 265 statute miles over the Indian Ocean.
Okay, green hook for EV2, handrail 204.
Okay, good work, Sultan. And while you're paused here, just a reminder, actually for both of you, for the helmet lights, if you push the button multiple times, you might get one light, two light, and then they'll go off. So if the light seems dim, you may not have both lights on.
Thank you, Ed.
And Sultan, you're going to continue out along S6. When you see whiff 9, you're going to take a right, and you're going to see handrail 2024, and that's going to be just on the inboard side of the BCDU. So you're just going to head straight across. Just on the inboard side of the BCDU.
Copy that, then.
And Steve, you're just heading out to where you were before to drop your green hook on 2003, and then head straight all the way outboard. And then head straight all the way outboard.
And I'm working on that now. All right.
Yeah, and that short handrail there, Sultan, is 2025, and then it'll be a kind of a reach around to the other side, and then you can go outboard, and you're going to be looking for your S6 with 15. And Sultan, one more body orientation reminder. When you get out to S6 and you find whiff 15, we'd like you to position your body over the IEA and ensure that your safety tether is on the IEA side of that whiff. And there's two whiffs there. Whiff 15 is the one that kind of points in the direction of the radiator. Whiff 15 is the one that kind of points in the direction of the radiator.
Right, copy. I see what 15.
And Sultan, because that APFR was in a different configuration than we expected when you picked it up, we're going to have you verify the settings. And so when you're ready for the settings, let me know. You are going to be installing it at clocking of 12.
But at 12. All right, green hook on 2003. I Heather gets snarled in my APFR. Interesting.
All right, good word, Steve. I understand you got your green hook down. You're going to head all the way outboard so you can't go anymore and take a right after the IEA, and you're heading around to S6 with 31.
31 S6 on my way. Yeah, and I see Papa Papa, and on the call I see call currently, and ready for the settings.
Okay, your full settings are going to be 12 Papa Papa Fox 8. 12 Papa Papa Fox 8.
All right, 12 Papa Papa Fox 8 in work.
In a brief, loss of signal with the International Space Station as our spacewalkers continue today's spacewalk, now 1 hour and 18 minutes since they switched their suits to battery power.
Back with you after a handover, so if you called it, I missed it. We've got Sultan working 12 Papa Papa Fox 8 and WIF 15, and Steve, you're heading to WIF 31.
I am heading to WIF 31. All right, WIF 31 is here. Okay, and I have good installation, good full twist test. Check on the knob.
And Sultan, we got a copy of the good pull twist test and just looking for black on black.
It is black on black, sorry, yes. So black on black, we have it. Clicking on the
Okay,
knob.
copy.
And it's locked and can be the test.
Good check, thank you. And can you confirm 12 Papa Papa Fox 8?
It's affirmative. 12 Papa Papa Fox 8.
Copy, good work. You can hang out and take a couple pictures while Steve gets his APFR installed. Steve, you've got settings of 6, Fox, Fox, Fox 2.
Fox, Fox, Fox 2. Okay.
And Sultan, as you are taking pictures, I will also take a glove inspection, HAP check, and just double checking your gauntlets are in place, please.
We'll do that.
And again, for Steve, your settings are 6, Fox, Fox, Fox 2.
Okay, and I have nominal gloves, no change, dry hat, and my guns is still down.
Good word, Sultan. And after Steve has APFR in, we'll be heading to the cable routing and the mod kit. And just a reminder, you do have cuff pages if you want to read about it first.
Let's copy that.
As the astronauts install their articulating portable foot restraints, they will then begin moving on to the next task, one of the major tasks today, which is routing cables in preparation for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays.
SE. There. Okay. 3 o'clock in the 6.
In this view from Sultan Alneyadi's helmet camera, on the left, on his left glove, you can see a small, what looks like a notebook that includes some reference information.
Affirmative. Fox 2.
Yeah, I got Fox. Go to 2. Okay, 6 Fox, Fox, Fox 2.
Copy, Steve. And we get a pull twist and black on black.
Twist, pull, black on black. That's it.
Copy and verify the pitch knob is locked and can be depressed.
All right, hold on, I'll get on the other side. All right, knob is locked. It can be depressed.
Copy. Good word, Steve. That completes the installation, and so we'll take a glove inspection, HAP check, and gauntlets, please.
At this dry, gloves look good.
Copy, good glove, Steve. So we can now, for both of you, move over to the 1B cable routing. Steve, you're going to go directly to the left side of the mod kit. Sultan, as you go outboard past Steve's APFR, you're going to do a fair lead on the short handrail on the radiator side of the IEA. It's handrail 2061, and again, it'll be off to your right side on the radiator side.
Copy that, and work.
For both of you, as you go out there, a couple of reminders about the mod kit. We don't want to translate simultaneously on the mod kit. We want to keep translation rates lower than 3 seconds per foot, and then avoid cyclic loading into the mod kit.
Copy. Copy that now.
And for both of you, for your awareness, you got a happy team down here. You are slightly ahead of timeline.
Oh, it's good to know. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay, Sultan, I am trying to track my tethers. Seem to have lost sight of them.
See it, and it's clear up to the anchor hook. I don't see the anchor hook, obviously, but it's heading that way, and it's clear for my tether. And
I think it's behind me.
oh, I'm sorry, you mean body, all right.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Can help me do a quick.
If you can, yeah, just keep your feet low and keep rotating counterclockwise as you're doing.
Quick counterclockwise?
Feet towards the IEA, please. Towards the IEA, towards structure. Yeah, continue. Your feet down, bring your feet down. No, unwind just for 20 degrees. Continue. And try to lift them a little bit, lift your feet. Okay, now bring them down. And then do counterclockwise rotation. Yes. No, stop.
Excellent. Thank you.
See it?
I have it, yes.
I think it's still behind your chest.
No, it's right here.
All right, see it. Okay. And am I translating inboard of that APFR or outboard towards the radiators?
Checking. And Sultan, you want to stay on the IEA side of Steve's APFR, and then just past the APFR is where you're going to kind of drop and look down on the radiator side, and that's where you'll see the short handrail 2061, and it should be up and down, so kind of perpendicular to the radiator orientation.
Thank you, and I was just checking to avoid some cables on the APFR. So I don't want to shoot. That's
Copy. And Steve, as you get out there, your first location target is going to be the left lower strut and the cable routing.
Left lower strut cable routing. Thing over there.
And if you see an all-white cable, then you're in the right place.
I see an all white cable come to the center, and then connected next to the barber pole cable.
Copy, that is your bundle. So you're going to retrieve and route that left IROSA cable bundle, first wire tying it to the left mid-strut handrail with a pre-stage wire tie. And for both of you on these cables, I just want to draw your attention to the wing tabs where the the cables are connected to themselves, and we want to make sure that when we finish that they stay connected to themselves.
Understand. Good.
This is Mission Control Houston coming up on 1 hour and 32 minutes into today's spacewalk.
And Sultan, the idea with that fair lead is just to keep the tether off to the right side. If you see a better place to fair lead that tether, you can. We think that 2061 is a good spot, but if it's hard to get to, then you can look for another location.
Copy that, Tom. Yeah.
Both crew members have moved to the S6 or Starboard 6 portion of the International Space Station. They're going to be starting on the first major task of today's spacewalk, which is to route these cables to prepare for future installation of solar arrays.
Hey, Sultan. Hi, so see where my safety tether comes in? Here. So my left unit extender. Can you see the Steve, right? Okay, well, no. Now look, for my left waist tether, my left D-ring extender. All right, yeah, it's... What's on? You can swap your waist tethers and release the one you're hooked in now. Okay. Swap another local and then, release that one. Okay, then this one, okay, that one's clear. And your session end effector is also catching that tether. Release it and just bring it under it. Release it. Okay. All clear now? Yes, you are. Thank you. The left side cables.
And Sultan, we see you get into the work side as well. Just note for your guys' awareness, we have Sultan's helmet cam. We don't have Steve's at the moment. So Sultan, if that is the red barber pulled cables, then you have the right ones. And your first step is to wire tie those to the right mid-strut handrail with a pre-stage wire tie.
Right, I see the right cable and I see It's 1 Bravo with the Sharpie line.
And we have both cameras back, and Sultan, those are good words. That's the right one. And just a reminder, as you're routing these, the wire ties will go to the mid-strut handrails that are pre-stage, and then all of the slack will be back toward the mast canister on the long handrail.
Copy.
In this view from Steve Bowen's helmet camera in the background, you can see Sultan Alneyadi. Both astronauts now at the S6 truss working to route cables that will be used upon installation of future IROSAs. Those are International Space Station rollout solar arrays. The modification kits that they're working on were installed on a previous spacewalk.
All right. 3 turns on the mid and heading to the aft.
We copy the wire tie on the mid-strut and heading toward the mast canister.
Okay, and I have the same on the mid-strut and the pre-stage wire tie. I've got 3 twists into the long handrail.
Copy 3 twists on the mid-strut handrail, and you two are heading slack outboard to the mast canister long handrail with long wire ties.
All right, long wire ties all the way out.
In this view from both astronauts' helmet cameras, you can get a glimpse at that mirror that they wear on their wrist. The panel on the astronaut's spacesuit. It's on the front of their spacesuit, and all of the dials.
Integrated wire tie, or we use something from Yachty Caddy?
And Sultan, you could use the long wire tie that's there integrated on the cable.
Oh, thanks. Right, left 3 turns, twist in the aft, try to make it look pretty.
And as you tack those down, just one final check for you both to ensure that the no wing tabs were knocked and that the cables are still connected to themselves.
Wing tabs are still in place. Same on the right side as well. And I have 3 twists on the wire tie, the long handrail.
Okay, copy. Good work. So the next step for both of you is to go to your respective upper strut. So Steve, on the left upper strut, and you're going to be right toward the center pad, so just up from where you are. And Sultan to the right upper strut to the MLI gap near the center pad.
Upper strut, center pad.
Can you tell me when you're done translating?
Yep, give me 1 second. I will be done.
And good call, Sultan, keeping people happy down here. And just a reminder, you do have photos of this area on your CUF pages if you need a reference.
All right. And Sultan, I think I'm in a good position.
All right. Thanks.
In the background of this view from Steve Bowen's helmet camera, you can see the curvature of the Earth as we prepare